Banana. Oh, there he is, Gary, look! But will he be back? I wish it was this easy. Ain't no way. It has been a while since I have indulged in watching a series. I suppose I haven't been in the mood for one. The spirit of entertainment had left me for a bit there. But then this heated rivalry business caught my attention from the ether. And while you might think it's probably just because of the very provocative promotional imagery, I have to say it was more because of the buzz it's been getting despite its somewhat clear subject matter. I expect the queer community to be all over a good LGBTQ gay-themed adaptation. I expect the girls and the more niche, not-so-huge channels to give it a look. But I am seeing thumbnails of videos from so many conventionally popular, normie, for lack of a better word, reactors reacting to this one. Enough to where it's like, what's going on? Stuff like Heartstopper or Love Simon or Red, White and Royal Blue were admittedly surprising in the amount of attention they got in the mainstream, but somehow Heated Rivalry seems to be on another level despite seeming way more intense. Normie straight guy creators were watching the show before I did, and that's kind of unacceptable. So all this attention was enough to make me curious as to how a series that would have probably been relegated to being a niche, hidden away cult classic back in the day is becoming so ubiquitous. It can't just be because queer media is more accepted nowadays, cause let me tell you, we're kind of backsliding on that front. This show promised to be raunchy, and fair warning, it does not disappoint in that department. But at some points, I felt like it was acting as a bit of a sex education for certain people who aren't in the know.
You know the sex scene where they're like doing it and they're like facing each other? I didn't know that was possible until I saw the show because I didn't know.
To be upfront, I'm not about to give any deeper of an analysis than what I'm sure you can find online in other spaces. This scene establishes our characters and a bit of their personalities, but in a bit of a contrasting way, which is probably important to understanding them in the long run. Shane wanting to connect, but being not too great at it and having to back off, while Ilya doesn't really want to connect, but then kind of thinks better of it and tries a little. And neither of them are particularly satisfied by the interaction. It just kind of passes. Then we get into some hockey establishment. Look, I'm not part of the sports crowd, so you know my interest can only go so far in this particular aspect, apart from acknowledging how the complication of being in such a prominent position affects the boys' personal lives. Thankfully, the show knows we're not here for legitimate sports and focuses mostly on the relationship. What a coincidence. Oh, here we go. They couldn't help themselves from making this a dick measuring contest. The way I wouldn't care, the way I would just be like, yeah, you go faster. This is embarrassing. But there is a lot of sexual tension happening. They knew exactly what they were doing. They're like, stop it. I will point out that a romance propped up by the circumstances of sports is a tale as old as time. It's a constant plot point in so many movies and series, and yet they still find ways to add new twists to them. But admittedly, this being the setup, I was getting the feeling early on that I was getting into a story that I've been told before, and had my expectations low as a result. Shane's less experienced and more wound out tight, more insecure and harboring nervousness for his escapades with Ilya, but you can tell that he tries to be a good boy. Ilya, however, is trying to be a bit more of a bad boy, and is more straightforward. Okay, there's too much sexual tension. Too much of it, darling, too much. Shameless, this is absolutely shameless. Oh my god. The show skips a bunch of time, displaying how the two boys have some sweet moments in their career, but there's also moments where you can see their careers really putting a strain on things from either perspective, keeping up their nights of dirty debauchery, but shying away from the intimacy that they both evidently need. For those who are not experienced in the world of activities, this must be a crazy show to watch. Also, the lighting in these hotel rooms is impeccable. Is this just gonna be a lot of sex scenes? Jesus, like completely round globes. What color? Okay, I know this is a casual relationship, but it could be more. Like, it's just this. I like a romance, but the relationship seems to be just this. And I would like the relationship to be more than just this. Rich. Okay, that's a lot. That's a lot of butt. We almost saw his whole hole. I like that he asks if he's okay. It's important. Always ask. Always ask if your partner is okay. Are we gonna go through the whole thing? The whole thing. We're getting the whole thing. Without visual. As much as the show might want me to feel spicy during the spicy scenes, I've seen this rodeo before. It is a sad affair. And it's not just those naughty scenes where they play soft and soulful music in the background. The naughty scenes where there's club music banging in the back are also very sad. Feels hollow, as these things often are. I'm hoping it gets better. Don't touch me. Oh, yes. I love a good ice skate. I hope we get some ice skating. I wanted to see a spin. I would have loved to have seen a spin. Don't touch me, I'm famous.
Don't touch me, I'm famous.
Alright, we got 3. Stop. Are we gonna fight again? I can't believe you touched my ass on stage. This isn't particularly satisfying. I spend all my time trying to read what's in their eyes, get the double meaning behind their words, and it all just results in nothing. I feel like you should like take a walk around the place before you like disrobe. It could have somebody else there, it could be a setup, he could videotape you. Okay, so I've never seen 50 Shades, but I feel like I'm about to watch something that's 50 Shades adjacent. Hurry up. So what are we talking about? Let's talk about our feelings. It seems like that was the climax of the episode. Pathetic. I feel like there's more to this story. Send it. Send that to... Depressing. Which is why I desperately needed episode 3, let me tell you. A nice, short and sweet contained story of a similar situation, but handled very differently. Honestly, it's not that similar at all. Scott Hunter must also keep on the down low, but for whatever reason he meets an attractive barista Kip. That catches his eye, and he goes for it. I mean, I don't know how Scott's handled his feelings for guys in the past. What he's been willing to do, who he's pursued, who he has regretted not pursuing. But for a guy supposedly pretty DL, he has clearly had an epiphany recently because this man is putting out signals. He's making invites, he's being brave, and waving at Kip during games. He's taking him back to his place and immediately goes into the hookup. To top it all off, he bears his soul to Kip the morning after their first little rendezvous, and girl, why are you in your underwear though? This is shameless. This is shameless.
Do you have the time to grab a bite with me?
Yes. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. All these bougie rooms, all these like... Oh my god! He's sweet. No, you stay, hon. I'm dying, guys. I'm dying.
Can you stay?
Jane and Lily, who? Who are they? I don't know them. I only know Scott and Kip. Is he making coffee? They can get married. I don't care. Like, why is the barista really hot? He's like excessively hot. They're both excessively hot. Liar. Okay, maybe he's not lying. I would. For this guy, I would. This is the romance I wanted. It was a lot. But your heart can't not melt at the honesty. Objectively, what Scott is asking of Kip is a bit problematic, and in normal circumstances, I'd have highly suggested that Kip not acquiesce to Scott's request. Between his honesty, his sincerity, that body, and this interaction, I'm like, you can ruin my life any day of the week, Scott. My answer is yes. Kinda. You know what? We do need some boundaries. Oh my god. Alright. Show's over. This is rude. You really shouldn't have come if you were gonna be this, like, uncomfortable. Just don't come, dude.
Do not come.
This is an interesting dynamic, because you have the other side, where both of them are players, so they're both very much on the same page of being in secret. You know, I have this side of it, where it's only one of them, but he really wants something committed. but he can't commit. Not an original story at all, and they're handling it with a fair bit of maturity here. Me, personally, for Scott, I could deal with a few years. I could hang with this for a few years. But if you, dear viewer, have a life that you know cannot sustain a secret lover who wants you to remain firmly in his area of residence for cuddles and kisses without being able to disclose said cuddles and kisses to friends and family to whom you need to explain your many absences, then do not accept the offer. It is a trap, it is a scam, you will love this man but he will destroy you whether he intended to or not. This, as a match, probably not the best. Ironically, Jane and Lily, they probably have a more compatible matchup, but even for them it's kind of like painful. I don't know. Depression. It's one thing if two DL guys who both independently maintain the aura of straightness decide to undergo covert ops for their foreseeable futures, but for those who wish to mix family, friends, and lovers into the different facets of their lives, it's a trap. Don't do it.
I'm not gonna do it, girl. I was just thinking about it. I'm not gonna do it. I did it.
So, episode 3 ends with Kip needing to depart from Scott's sex dungeon because he's got a life of his own or whatever, and we now return to our regular programming. I didn't like episode 4, partly because no more Skip, but also because Shane and Ilya enter their own downfall arc of sorts. Not that things have been particularly happy. Shane's trying out a new girlfriend and Ilya's feeling a bit shaken about it, especially after their very intimate moments together at Ilya's place. Oh my god, what kind of commercial is this? So it's been years and finally there's some progress in asking him to stay. Why is this crazy? Why is this a problem? Why is this weird? Eat the tuna melt. These rich I have an irrational hatred for the sets of this show. Nothing but bougie bedroom after bougie bedroom. Do you feel poor yet? How about now? In an era of wealth inequality like we've never seen before, these sets were an offense to the senses. It was disgusting. So anyway, Shane and Ilya taste a bit of that idyllic Scott and Kip life, not fully adjusting to it but awkwardly finding that they kinda like it. Then just one spicy interaction that was too awesome and too intimate to handle, and Shane kinda freaks out. The intimacy proved to be a bit much and he's fighting what he wants versus what he probably thinks that he shouldn't want. And Ilya is annoyed that Shane's taking it this seriously. I feel like we make just a little bit of progress. What are they doing? Well, that's representation. I've never seen that in something that wasn't just explicitly adult entertainment. That is representation. This series is really sad. You know, you have to wonder, how much do they spend filming all the hockey scenes when there's so little hockey to be had? Ain't no way he's jealous. Ain't no way. But this is a mess. And the sad thing is, it's been years upon years, there's still a thing, and yet it blows up in this way, over the ladies. I know where this is going. With Ilya, he just has a fling, completely open, nothing committed. But for Shane, he can't do flings. He is legit with this lady, so in case y'all didn't know, I hate club scenes. They're awful. Disoriented, can't hear anything. Oh, that's it? Lame. Alright. So we didn't like that last episode, okay? Okay, maybe I don't hate episode 4 as much as I thought I did, as it did present more of the kind of development I was wanting, which was through actual dialogue. Like, you can do a lot with subtle looks, undertones, contexts. You can definitely read in between the lines, but dialogue is cathartic. Still, it didn't leave me feeling great about where we were heading next. Let's be completely honest. These ladies are not going to get as much character development. They're not going to be treated as real characters. They're just tools for the male leads. The ladies with the biggest impact in the plot are Shane's mom and Kip's friend. Let's not do this. Jacob, I need you to treat these women better. Another poorly lit public third space. You know, the funny thing is, even if he was completely straight, I don't think he'd be handling this any better. Thankfully, Shane's girlfriend is the GOAT cause she shuts this garbage down real quick. Shane is transparent as all hell, so she clocks his ass within a few months of dating her, I think. Then they call off the charade and are just friends. Like, ain't no way he tried to make her a beard. I thought he was just like vibing and was actually bisexual. Ain't no way that he's gay and he just did this to have a beard because of what his friend said. You should say sorry. Yo, she bailed him out. This woman saved this man. God. People don't give women enough credit. She just saved this man from his stupid problems. She lifted him out of the grave he was digging for himself. I can't believe it. All the women know, every single one. I don't know if that's realistic or not. I don't think it is. Shane has an epiphany and has found new resolve in how he wants to approach Ilya next time. Ilya, who has kind of just been in limbo for the duration as far as I could tell. This is a bit of a high point for these two. They get some time to be cute and honest with each other, and Shane figures out,
I think I'm gay.
I'm bored. Okay, and congratulations on coming out and stuff. Pardon me for being a bit blasé about it. I'm not him, and I personally figured myself out in like my early teens, if not before then, so I genuinely can't relate. Ooh, go team. Y'all are gonna get injured doing this. Yeah, all these kissy faces you're making on the field. Pay attention. You wouldn't have gotten hit so bad if you were paying attention. Finally, a freed Shane. Put him on more drugs. What happened to Scott Hunter? Can we get some more Scott Hunter? I suppose the next important thing is the whole public coming out that our better couple, Kip and Scott, chose to have on the ice. What romantic garbage is he about to do now? He's about to do something, isn't he? Oh yes, as he always does. This is dangerous, by the way, because Kip might have moved on. It's gonna be one of those moments. Big reveals. Bro, I don't have skates on. Is he retiring? Because if he is, big deal. If he's retiring, gasp! Zoom in. We gotta see this particular thing. The scandal. Well done, Scott. Thank you very much. Well done. A risky move, which I personally wouldn't have opted for, cause you never know, maybe Kip had moved on or wasn't trying to be publicly out in his entire state. Like, being out doesn't always mean being out to every person who knows your existence. There is a bit more tact to that. But conveniently, for Scott, Kip seems to have no qualms, which allows this to be very much a fairy tale ending for the two of them, which is nice. However, them being my preferred ship, I would have liked perhaps an in-between episode where Scott finds his courage in his heart while we get more of Kip's thoughts on everything. I mean, I guess that's a decent wrap-up for that story. I prefer that story, but I guess that's fine. A better episode. This one made up for the last one. Well, an outing happened. Anyways, this display of affection causes Ilya to man up and agree to the cottage episode. A very sweet venture of the boys trying to be a relatively normal, loving couple on vacation, setting aside all the things that have held them back up until now and actually indulging in who they are on the inside. Finally graduating from a weird situationship to an actual relationship. As expected, it's disgustingly rich.
Wait a damn minute.
I bought you Cokes, but the water here is really good. Is that an either or situation? As if the water here wasn't good, he was just gonna drink Cokes for the entire weekend? That's crazy. But what if somebody sees? People know that this is his cottage. It's a private cottage, but it's not a secret cottage, if I know what I'm saying. Don't do it. It is here we get the crux of drama, the inevitable, unintentional outing, when Shane's dad shows up unannounced to their little retreat, catching them in their vile intimacies. Thankfully, these parents aren't disastrously bigoted, and so it turns out relatively nicely, though it is still a hard confrontation for everyone involved. Expectations have been dashed, lies have been revealed, and new realities must be come to terms with. Stop. Gay. Gross. The scene with Shane's mom admittedly kind of affected me more than I expected it to. My family doesn't talk about queer folk or queer matters or the gays that often. But I had the displeasure of recently, the adults talk. They're old. And of course, every so often they decide to complain about the gays, as one's conservative traditional parents would. And I had the displeasure of hearing my mom call them sick, diseased maybe, negative things. She was incredulous at hearing that somebody else's kid had come out as gay, And so that started an entire rant. And in the moment, you could think, wow, why would you talk about that person who is technically extended family? How could you talk about them like that? Like, this has happened before, and it's not new. It's not new to me. It's always a terrible reminder of what your family, what your parents think about you. Luckily, unlike, something like race, this is something that's at least kind of concealable. But much like race, it's immutable, and it's part of us, and she is keenly aware of like racism. She's all about like racial justice, working against racist forces in our world, but it's not from the angle of, just a general anti-discrimination standpoint, but it shows the mentality of it, these blanket judgments. My mom and my dad and the rest of my family, they think I'm sick. I've seen a lot of shows that have this kind of interaction between a parent and their kid who's coming out, and I think I always need these just to have that second-hand affirmation, because I know I'm not going to get that from my family. It's important to tell these stories because someone will always need to hear it, and even me who has consumed these stories still need to hear them, still need to see them every so often, because it's a lot to deal with when your family is not going to be the ones that are there to support you. So what this scene is going to portray here might mean a lot. We'll see.
I know you know that I did really try. I just can't help it. I'm sorry.
I tried a little bit sometimes. That's not a thing that works.
I'm sorry that I made you feel like you couldn't tell me. I'm so proud of you. Please forgive me.
I forgive you too.
So much.
Enough. We're starting a charity. We're done. It's over. It was a good show. For young men growing up, this could have well been their milk, their Love Simon, their Brokeback, their Shelter. And as far as pivotal, moving queer romances go, I could think of far worse for the lonely young men of today to be inspired by. It hits that nerve where too many of us hide behind facades or are tied up by expectations of ourselves, expectations from others, consequences of the cultures we live in. On that front, I think it's offered a great message to young men, especially those in sports, about what options are available to them, and options through which to address their feelings in ways that are either healthy or unsatisfying. It was definitely a unique take on this whole like secret boyfriend coming out situation. It's a story that always needs to be told. Technically kind of cliche, but it's life, something that repeats for every generation. Everyone comes into this world. Society remains fairly traditional and conservative in many spaces and less so in others, but there will always be this need, and no matter how like accepted it becomes in one part of the world, it's always going to be a little dicey. So I had to remind myself that just because these stories have existed and have proliferated everywhere in media, and that I've gone through my developments, there will still always be people who need stories like these to latch on to and see themselves in. No matter how many stories of these types I see, no matter how cliched, no matter how overdone these things are, they will always be relevant and inspire that kind of emotion in me and us. So yeah, that was Heated Rivalry. Half of it was porn, but I guess that's the thing. Episode 6 was nice. Episode 3 was also nice. I don't know which one has captured my heart more. Look, Scott Hunter. Episode 5 had that nice conversation that monologue that Ilya gave to Shane. It's a highlight. I think episode 3 might still be my favorite because goals when Scott picked up Kip. And following that when Scott laid his heart bare, which was really sweet. And in episode 6, Shane tried to one-up that by saying, hey, let's be honest. Of course, they said I love you in bed, which was cute, so. Wasn't my favorite series of this topic, but it was nice. I liked it. But I have to say, the biggest wow factor of this show is still how it managed to break into what seems to be massive mainstream appeal. Or at least, like, popularity.
Did you watch Heated Rivalry?
Heated Rivalry.
I haven't seen that yet.
It's so much more than people are giving it credit for.
It's nice to see the heated rivalry between you guys.
What the hell is that?
Heated Rivalry?
Yeah.
Sorry, you haven't heard of Heated Rivalry?
Cultural relevance like this often confuses me because on one hand it feels like Western society has gotten more progressive when things like this become so well known, but on the other hand, traditional conservatism seems to have been making a comeback. So I guess the real moral of Heated Rivalry for me is that humans are eternally confusing and I do not understand any of you. Anyway, that's it. Bye.